The situation in China continues to unfold, whether we're discussing the debt problems, inflation, perhaps it's a power crisis, or Evergrande. I will get into all of that. Let's begin. Let's start with this article out of CNBC. Stagflation in China is a very real risk in the next couple of quarters. This is not just China. We are seeing this all over the world. Stagflation is the problem. You got rising prices like energy, which we'll talk about in a moment, but at the same time, you just do not have that growth. The risk of stagflation is very real in China over the next couple of quarters. A high producer price index and a power crunch have made it difficult for Beijing to stimulate the economy aggressively. So you can't do what they did before. Different things have to happen. We'll see what they can do. The producer price index is really going high, and if it looks anything like we have seen previous in history, we could potentially see that have a direct impact on the cost of goods for people, for the average person. So it's not just those big companies, those billion-dollar companies that are going to be suffering, it's the average individual too, and that is so unfortunate. The slowdown in the real estate sector has very severely hit China's economic growth, but confidence in the primary property market is not yet collapsing. You could see that growth had slowed down tremendously in terms of the building. They're worried about Evergrande. I'm looking at the charts for Evergrande, and I could see that it's about 241. All right, now this previously was much, much higher. I mean, it was in the 20s not that long ago, and now today it's been falling and falling and falling. So there needs to be some confidence restored in this stock in order to get the entire property sector to come back up. That might happen if they bail it out to some degree, but as of now, China's plans to cap the key coal price to ease an energy crisis. So they're going to do this. I don't know historically how this has worked out, but when you try to control things, you only make it worse. If you push something down here, over there, it's going to pop up. Cap to be set at 440 yuan per ton with a 20% upside. Limit will likely apply to power plant terms supplies. So they get into this. If you want to check it out, there's a chart right here just showing you China's benchmark coal futures plunged after the government intervention. So right there. But the fact is, what will the producers do? Are they going to be forced to sell at a price that they can't afford? Trying to do these controls generally ends up creating a problem later, but that remains to be seen, okay? I just want to bring you the data as it is. China's trading apps tank after official calls them illegal. Cross-border brokers have no legitimate license, according to the People's Bank of China. So they are cracking down in every sense of the word. I mean, so many different aspects here, things I didn't cover, some things that I did cover. Ultimately, when you look at what they're doing, it seems like it is very strategic and methodical, that they are going into a different mode. This is very different than what we saw from, let's say, the 2000s and on. Very different here in the 2020s, and I don't know what's going on precisely. I can speculate, but I just want you to know exactly what's happening. This is what they're doing. Bulls return to China's markets just as the risks start to multiply. Why? They're buying the dip. The markets are very different from what we see in the actual economy. I know a lot of people get that confused. They see economy, they think it's the same thing. They think economy means stock market, but of course, that is absolutely not true. And you could see HSBC, Nomura, UBS have turned positive on the nation's stocks. And they look at it compared to the rest of the world because they said, look, everything is up like crazy, particularly the US. Where do I put my money? So they say, hey, China's down by 20% or what have you. Let's put our money in those tech stocks. And we will have to see how that all goes. In terms of the restrictions, there's one further. China limits construction of super high-rise buildings. Essentially what they're saying is in the smaller cities, there's absolutely no need to have these skyscrapers. They're there just for vanity, just to show that, hey, we can build lots of stuff. They are restricting copycat type of buildings. I mean, they're doing a lot of different things. You might agree with it or not, but I'm just trying to show you that it seems like they are taking control in every single aspect of the country more than before. It seems like there was a loosening, perhaps it got too loose for those in control, and now they seem to be tightening up again. Third of Chinese developers could face debt problems as Evergrande contagion grows. big issues going on with Evergrande. Yeah, it's going to be fixed. Don't worry, they paid their offshore bonds. That was a very small portion of what they owe. Very small. Even if the embattled property giant manages to avoid default again, many other firms are heading the same way. There are many examples of this. I have shown you so many over the period, but just understand that they cannot pay this back without some sort of extraordinary measure taking place. The company doesn't have the money. The company can't do anything else because they already stretched themselves to the maximum. They were giving out luxury products to customers, like doing anything that they could. They were selling, if you watched my channel before, they were selling products to people, debt-based products, giving them these high returns. And so what happens when you end up in a crunch? You can't pay them back. So what about these people? What's going to happen to them? The money is just not going to come from anywhere. The money was coming from new investors in, but suddenly all of that demand has plunged, particularly with Evergrande. Nobody wants to touch it at this time. Okay? There's a lot in here. Of course, I won't be able to get to it. The links, as always, down in the description. Okay, check this out. Hong Kong's luxury villa linked to Evergrande's Hui pledged for a loan. So, I had talked about in the previous video, they are being forced into saying, look, you run that company, this is your responsibility. So now there's going to be a lot of shared prosperity. Okay, so this is an associate of him. He's basically the chairman of the chairman of the troubled China Evergrande Corp. So an associate has recently put up a luxury house in Hong Kong for loan collateral as the billionaire and his property empire face an escalating debt crisis. Now, this is important, of course, because of the crackdowns. That's the message for today, okay? They are going full force into this. You can read the details if you want, but I'm just trying to make that point. You could see that he also amassed billions in dividends before the crisis, $7 billion worth in payouts since 2009. Not bad. Beijing has urged the tycoon to help pay Evergrande's debt. So he's going to be forced to do this. Obviously, there's really no way around that. Many people have suggested that this is a good thing. Some people say that there's much more going on. I don't know if he's going to be able to pay back all of the bad debt. Even if he's completely wiped out, there's still so much bad debt. So let me know. What do you think? Should this individual be forced to deplete his entire net worth? By the way, what is his net worth in? Is it in cash or is it in stock? Because you wouldn't want him to sell that stock because, of course, that's going to put more deflationary pressure on everything as a whole. So what do you think? Put it down in the comments below. I'd like to know your thoughts on how they can handle this particular situation. Or should they let the failure happen? I want to know what you think. Okay? Now, of course, as always, to support the channel, it's a simple matter of hitting that like button. When you do that, these videos are more likely to end up in your home feed. So I do appreciate that. Support the channel, hit the like button, and I'll see you on the next one.